You are watching Xirtus.
These companies supposedly protect your privacy by contacting data brokers to remove your information. However, there's two issues with this at the very least. Issue number one is, in order to remove your information, they have to be supplied with your information. Red flag number one. And number two is that apparently they have no legal enforcement rights whatsoever. Therefore, all they can do is kindly ask these so-called data brokers and cannot actually guarantee that your information is being removed from anywhere. Again,
But
I would say,
but don't
yes,
they? But don't other companies do have? They don't have a legal standing that you don't have. You could do this yourself. You could ask them to delete your own data. But don't they have to delete your data if you ask them to? I thought that was a law, at least in the United States.
I've heard of something, or I know that something similar exists in Europe where you have the right for deletion, or you can tell them that they need to delete your data, and they have highly complex privacy laws, which are especially difficult to adhere to for smaller companies. And some may argue there it's only being implemented to make business more difficult for smaller companies. But again, from everything I've learned, through this other video I had watched, is that it is not as accurate or not really working as intended. Of course, I don't know the entire backstory, but just maybe take a look at these videos before you want to invest in such a service. Of course, by today, I doubt anyone really is not being tracked because you have these automated systems everywhere. And even many years ago, there was a scandal, quote unquote, about Facebook having all these like buttons everywhere, which supposedly on the back end were tracking you as well. What you can do is there is a variety of privacy-based plugins for different browsers. PSA number one, I believe, would be don't use Google Chrome. If you want to use it, at least use Chromium, because from what I understand, they are wholesale using your data. And similarly, even with regular Firefox, according to the newest terms of service update, if I understood that correctly, they changed the line from never going to sell your data to...
You heard that ChatGPT wants to buy Google Chrome, right?
Yeah, probably a lot more data. But anyhow, Firefox, from what I understand in TOS service, also kind of removed that from never gonna sell your data to maybe gonna sell your data or something like
to
this.
never gonna give you up your data and to getting the data taken. All right, why doesn't the internet feel fun anymore? This is a good question. I wonder about that. Because
Yes.
I have a quick answer for this. It's because Apple fired Scott Forstall. It's because Tim Cook is cooked. That dude screwed up Apple. Apple screwed up. They're super lucky they had so many billions of dollars, trillions of dollars, or whatever it was from iPhones and iPods that they were able to invest in making ARM chips. But other than that, Apple sucks. And when Scott Forstall was in charge, Apple was all about like Aqua and like that's why Apple looked all pretty. That whole GUI thing that happened was because Scott Forstall was all like, we should have fuzzy and liquid and textures and things like that. And when they got rid of him, it was just John Ives shaving off pencil, parts of the phone, like just making the phone thinner and thinner and thinner, making the laptop thinner, just circumcising your laptop more and more and more. That's all that Apple ever did ever again. And that was the death of the aesthetic of the internet, I think. And that whole period, I don't know, that's my opinion.
You can actually see a similar progression in the graphical user interface for Windows. And I learned through stumbling across these videos, and as you know, YouTube then starts recommending you similar things endlessly, about 2000s aesthetics. And it is interesting that in the early 2000s, you had a quite positive, futuristic outlook, and everything was, shades of blue and chrome, and they added the 3D effect to many icons. However, recently, flat design has become a lot more popular. Some would say simply for usability reasons. So you can see
there was like VR chat in the late 90s, early 2000s. You could literally like go on the internet and walk around in a room with someone else, like a video game and chat. I mean, why is this not the way Facebook is? Facebook became like in MySpace already was kind of a HTML page instead of a cool room. They already kind of took it away further and further until it was a bulletin board. But then Facebook's so much worse because it's just this weird, like it's like when you go to the doctor's office and you have to fill out a form. That's what Facebook is. It's just you're filling out forms all the time that say like what this is or that is or where you are or whatever. It's just horrible.
Yeah, so the explanation here is basically that instead of having so many myriad services and strange websites and different forums for any topic, you now simply have a few, they call it walled garden communities. Like today, it would be the big social media giants, which any of you know, and everything is centralized there, which of course makes it very much easier for data collection and any type of surveillance and profiling. However, it takes away the individuality of different sites and also the aspect of exploring something. Although this may also coincide with that internet theory, and as we've discussed before, that now oftentimes search results are repeating, especially on DuckDuckGo. I think you get 10 results, and then you can say, show me more. It shows you 3 more. And on Google, you have repeating results, and it doesn't go any farther than page 42 anymore. And in general, also due to algorithmic change, on at least where I can tell on platforms like Facebook, it has become a lot less interesting because number one, everything is monetized, so you only get reach if you put money into it. And then on Facebook, and I believe also on X, I'm always surprised because I get these supposedly high profile influencer posts all over my feed, whether it's American or it's some kind of African relationship advice, not to even say witch doctor, but apparently anyone, I'm not sure, I guess it's because they're putting money into it, but I never even subscribe to them, yet they're showing up on my feed. However, only because I'm friends with someone on Facebook doesn't guarantee me at all that I will ever actually get to see their updates. And it may be that to some extent you can change that through the settings and maybe reset your algorithm or make some changes to take it back a little bit. However, it seems that you cannot really get this original experience anymore where it was a truly more or less organic linking of ideas. But now again, like I said, everything monetized, centralized, and gate kept, which of course takes the fun away and also makes it less useful, especially if you're interested in maybe more how do you call it, idiosyncratic ideas, or you simply,
Idiot.
again, idiosyncratic, or again, simply you want, not idiot, but want to know what your friends are up to, but you're never gonna know unless they put in $100 per month to promote their own posts. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, and then even if you do, I don't think it's good. I mean, it's really what they want to share and they don't want to share. It's the algorithm. So hopefully they sell YouTube next. And who do you think would buy YouTube if Chrome got sold to
Well,
ChatGPT? Who's
someone
going to buy
someone
YouTube?
with good relations to Trump is gonna buy it.
Of course, but could that be ChatGPT? Because if ChatGPT owned YouTube, that would be crazy. Because then it could study human media. I mean, just think about how intense that. But
Yeah,
I
of
guess
course they're gonna buy it. Of course, either
maybe
them
or
or
not.
some sub company which belongs to a holding
Disney.
company which ultimately feeds the information to
Disney
ChatGPT.
Disney
Actually, you're
should
spot on. It's gonna be someone related to OpenAI for sure.
maybe, but Disney also has a really cool AI lab, right? And crypto token. They have Dragon and all this stuff. So if Disney bought YouTube, I mean, I don't think they could almost afford it unless they do something really like completely different. But like basically it would be like a merger of some kind. And I don't know. I'm just trying to think who else could do it. But if Chat GPT buys Chrome, I don't know how they're going to be able to afford to buy YouTube, and would they let them buy both of them? Because if they just destroy one in Monopoly, can they let them both have it again? So it seems like they're more interested in Chrome than they are in YouTube. Somebody else might want. I'm trying to think like, what other companies exist anymore that have that kind of power that are friends with Trump, like Larry Ellison, Oracle. Oracle buying YouTube would be crazy. I don't think it's the best situation for anybody at all, because like he would just like fire the bottom 10% of all YouTubers every year, just like block them from the accounts.